Palestine states its rights are non-negotiable and not for sale. U.S. President Donald Trump states Israel will transfer control of Gaza Strip to the United States once fighting ends. And Lebanese presidency announces a meeting between President Aoun, Speaker Berri, and PM-designate Salem ahead of today's new government announcement. It's 4 p.m. Cairo local time, and you're watching Qnews. We begin today's bulletin with the latest developments in Gaza. Palestine has stated that Palestine is not for sale, not an investment project, and that the rights of the Palestinian people are non-negotiable and not a bargaining chip. Palestinian presidency spokesman Nabil Abu stressed that Palestinians will never give up any land, including Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem. He vowed to prevent the repetition of the 1948 and 1967 catastrophes and oppose any plans that undermine their cause. He pointed out that the global rejection of U.S. displacement plans and emphasized that peace and stability must come from Palestine, especially Jerusalem. Abu Daina reaffirmed President Abbas' support for political solutions based on international legitimacy and the Arab Peace Initiative.
Concerning this issue, we are against any occupation, whether Israeli.
Nakba survivors have rejected Trump's call to expel Palestinians from Gaza. Families were forced to flee in 1948 when Israeli forces attacked their town of Yabna, now part of central Israel. Now in their 80s, survivors sat outside their homes in the southern Gaza city of Rafah, flattened by an airstrike, and said it was unthinkable to leave Gaza after enduring 15 months of war. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that Israel will transfer control of the Gaza Strip to the United States once the fighting ends. In a post on his Truth social platform, Trump stated that the United States, in collaboration with major development teams worldwide, would carefully and gradually undertake what he described as one of the greatest and most spectacular development projects of its kind, without any U.S. forces present in the Gaza Strip. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has stated that President Donald Trump has offered for the United States to take responsibility for Gaza's reconstruction. Speaking at a press conference in Guatemala City, Rubio said it was a unique offer to step in and clear debris and destruction in Gaza, adding that people will have to live somewhere where it's rebuilt. He added it was not meant as a hostile move and that details still needed to be worked out.
So what President Trump announced yesterday is the offer, the willingness of the United States to become responsible for the reconstruction.
The White House has stated that President Donald Trump has not committed to deploying U.S. troops in Gaza as part of his proposal for a U.S. takeover of the Palestinian enclave. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters that the president believes the United States must be involved in Gaza's rebuilding to ensure stability in the region. She added that this does not mean deploying U.S. troops in Gaza.
Reconstruct this region. And let me just take a step back here, because this is an out-of-the-box.
GCC Secretary General has reaffirmed the Council's support for Palestinian sovereignty, an independent state with East Jerusalem as its capital, and refugee return. He emphasized that the two-state solution is key to lasting peace and stability. Goal by the international coalition to implement the two-state solution with Palestinian and global partners. He also highlighted the efforts of the Arab League and OIC to end Israeli aggression in Gaza and the West Bank, support Palestinian resilience, and help Palestine gain international recognition and full UN membership. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has stated that there is nothing wrong with Donald Trump's proposal to displace Palestinians from Gaza, despite widespread international criticism. Netanyahu said that Israel remains committed to eliminating Hamas without the involvement of U.S. troops. He also said that the former U.S. President Donald Trump's return to the White House would strengthen efforts to counter Iran's influence in the region, adding that it would elevate the spirit of Israelis and those seeking a prosperous and peaceful Middle East.
We want to see a different Middle East, a prosperous and peaceful Middle East. I think
Britain has stated that it will oppose any efforts to forcibly relocate Palestinians from the Gaza Strip to neighboring Arab states. The UK's Women and Equalities Minister, Anneliese Dodds, has said that there must be no forced displacement of Palestinians and no reduction in the territory of the Gaza Strip. Her remarks come in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal earlier this week to resettle Palestinians and take over Gaza for development. Trump suggested building a resort where international communities could live in harmony.
That is a right guaranteed under international law.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
German president has stated that U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal for the United States to take over war-ravaged Gaza and create a Riviera of the Middle East after relocating Palestinians elsewhere is unacceptable. At a press conference with Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in Ankara, German president said that the proposal was causing deep concern here in the region. Trump faced rebukes from world powers, including Russia, China, and Germany, which warned that it would foster new suffering and new hatred. Amnesty International has condemned U.S. President Donald Trump's proposal to transfer Palestinians from Gaza, calling it outrageous and a flagrant violation of international law. Amnesty International Secretary General Jens Kalamard stated that any plan to forcibly transfer from occupied territory against their will constitutes a...
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
A European Union's foreign policy spokesman has said that the Gaza Strip must be an integral part of a future Palestinian state and that the Union is committed to the two-state solution. He added that the European Union remains strongly committed to the two-state solution and believes that it's the only path to long-term peace for both Israelis and Palestinians. The European spokesman continued by saying Gaza is an integral part of a future Palestinian state. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has told President Donald Trump to avoid ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Guterres told a previously planned meeting of a UN committee in search of solutions, the problem should not be made worse. He added that it's vital to stay true to the bedrock of international law, and it's essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing. He also reaffirmed the two-state solution.
It is essential to avoid any form of ethnic cleansing. And by rising violence,
Israel's defense minister has ordered preparations for a plan to encourage the voluntary departure of Gaza residents following U.S. President Trump's controversial proposal to relocate over 2 million Palestinians.
Israel's defense minister has ordered the army to prepare a plan for the voluntary departure of residents from Gaza. This follows a controversial announcement by U.S. President Donald Trump, who proposed that the United States take control of the Strip and relocate its over 2 million Palestinian residents. The proposal has sparked widespread condemnation. Key global powers, including Russia, China, and Germany, have criticized the plan, warning it would lead to further suffering and unrest. Arab nations, particularly Egypt, Saudi Arabia and Jordan, have strongly opposed any forced displacement, stressing the importance of a long-standing two-state solution. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, has welcomed Trump's plan and suggested that international opponents of Israel's military actions in Gaza, such as Spain, Ireland, and Norway, should accept Palestinian refugees. He also mentioned Canada as a potential destination, citing its structured immigration program. Hamas has dismissed Katz's remarks, calling them an attempt to deflect from Israel's failures in the ongoing war in Gaza. Palestinians, many of whom have been displaced multiple times due to Israeli airstrikes, remain reluctant to leave, fearing a repeat of the 1948 Nakba, when hundreds of thousands were forced from their homes. Meanwhile, tensions continue to rise as Israel and Hamas prepare for a new round of ceasefire talks amid ongoing airstrikes and deteriorating humanitarian conditions in Gaza.
For more analysis, we now move to Mona in our newsroom.
Thank you so much, Salma. And for further analysis, we're joined from Cairo by the Al Ahram newspaper managing editor, Ashraf Al Ashri. Good afternoon to you, sir, and welcome to Qnews. Let me hear with your take on the motivations behind Trump's decision to reintroduce the Gaza takeover proposal despite all the global rejection.
Good afternoon to you. Certainly there are more pressures from far-wing and the Jewish lobby that provide the support of Trump's campaign in elections and will be and recognitions by the nation Israel of the West Bank and the control of Gaza and establishment of settlement and eradicate Hamas. And therefore Trump fulfilled his promises to the far right wing and pursued to take advantage for all the introductions of the Gaza during the last war by such very shocking proposals that it is rejected and unrealistic and cannot be accepted and applicable. Evidence when Trump announced his proposals, and there is an international rejection and Arab Islamic consensus of the rejections, and so we have an pressure from the Arab world and that having a plan regarding the Gaza reconstruction, and any proposals by Trump are rejected that represent an apartheid genocide for the Palestinians.
Right. Now, from your point of view, what will Israel's plans for resettlement impact or reflect on the humanitarian situation in Gaza?
Israel has plans that followed the policy of hunger, not to enter the food and humanitarian aid and leaving the Palestinians without any health care and creating a new reality within Gaza. So they think that that's matter and the starvation war that will impose the Palestinians to go out of Gaza to the neighboring country or searching any community in the Western world. And I think this matter is going in line with Netanyahu's plan, and that there is a degree of harmony between the Trump's plan and the far wing of Israel in annexation of the West Bank, and this will be announced within the upcoming 4 weeks. Everyone is fearing of the annexation, but this would happen, unfortunately. But there is an international desire not to recognize any resolutions of Netanyahu, and any attempt of starvation will be faced by international pressure. And the proving by Egypt that following the opening of Rafah crossing to enter all the humanitarian, medical and food supplies to the Palestinians, and any way to prevent this, and I think the international community is more wise to confront, and this will be having a fiasco despite the challenges imposed by Israel and America.
Right. From your point of view, what is the rejection of Spain and Ireland to cut its refugee offer reveal about the European position or opposition to Israel's Gaza strategy?
Certainly, it's not Spain. Spain was just responding the statement of Benjamin Netanyahu regarding the Western countries to take in the Palestinians, and Spain has a very strong stance by rejecting this. EU, in a way, is in a positive stance. Even Germany, the biggest ally to Israel, said we reject any attempt of taking in the Palestinians, and we are very holding for the Palestinians to stay in their homelands. And the only solution for ending the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the two-state solution, and the rest of the country contradict the proposals of Trump and the pursuit of Netanyahu of displacement and the Israeli depositioning in the Gaza Strip. All these stances in Europe and in the Arab and Islamic will have a great solidarity to confront such proposals. And failing the plans of liquidation to the Palestinian cause. Even the friends of Israel are rejecting this proposals, as well as the Israeli policy of pursuing into the starvation in the Palestinian territories.
Now, how could Trump's vague stance on his Gaza plan reflect on the international diplomatic efforts, and what is the position from the international laws?
Certainly, all these Trump's positions that will create some sort of exterminations with respect to the apartheid regarding or based on the international laws throughout the division law since 1947, affirming the two-state solution to the Israeli already been built, but what's left in the Palestinian establishment, and all this contradicts with all the resolutions such as 448 and the resolutions regarding refugees. So the international legitimacy rejecting the operations of killing and ethnic election, ethnic cleansing that is taken by Israel.
Yes, indeed. And indeed, from Cairo, that was Al Ahram newspaper managing editor, Mr. Ashraf Al Ashri. We thank you so much for joining us here on Qnews. And back to you, Salma.
Thank you so much, Mona, for conducting this enriched analysis. Palestinians in Gaza have rejected Israeli Defense Minister's order to the army to plan Gaza evacuations, saying that they won't leave their land. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz ordered the army to prepare a plan to allow the voluntary departure of residents from the Gaza Strip. Israeli media reported Katz's plan will include exit options via land crossings, as well as special arrangements for departure by sea and air. For the 17th consecutive day, the Israeli occupation has continued its aggression on the city of Jenin and its camp, which has resulted so far in the killing of 25 Palestinians and causing dozens of injuries. According to Jenin's camp committee, 15,000 people have been displaced and 180 homes destroyed by the Israeli army. The ongoing aggression has halted basic services, closed schools, and left 4 hospitals without water. Jenin city is facing severe shortages of water and electricity. Israeli forces continue to besiege Jenin Governmental Hospital, blocking its entrance and main street. Turbulent weather is compounding the challenges facing displaced people in Gaza. Strong winds caused extensive damage to the tents of displaced Palestinians in the central city of Deir al-Balah, adding further hardship to the difficult lives many face in the Gaza Strip. Displaced families said that the weather conditions caused them to lose their tents and what remained of their clothes and blankets, while about 500,000 displaced Palestinians have returned to northern Gaza in recent weeks. Many others remain in Mawasi and other areas of southern and central Gaza. Moving to Lebanon, the Lebanese presidency has announced that a meeting took place between President Joseph Aoun, Speaker of Parliament Nabih Berri, and Prime Minister-designate Nawaf Salem amid anticipation of the announcement of the new Lebanese government today. The consultations to form Salem's government encountered numerous party-related obstacles due to objections over the portfolios assigned to each party. Despite initial agreement on the ministerial nominees from Hezbollah and the Amal movement, the Lebanese Forces Party expressed reservations about the government structure and its ministerial statement, reaffirming that it would not grant the government a vote of confidence. Israeli army has continued its operations of burning and detonating homes in several towns in the Nabateya Governorate in southern Lebanon, marking 2 new violations of the ceasefire agreement. Lebanese news agency reported that Israel has committed up to 854 violations of the ceasefire agreement in Lebanon since it came into effect 72 days ago. Moving to Syria, Syrian presidency has announced that the transitional president, Ahmed al-Shara, received a congratulatory call from French President Emmanuel Macron, who invited him to visit Paris in the coming weeks. On the other hand, the French presidency mentioned in a statement that Macron emphasized during the call the importance of continuing the fight against terrorism, which he stated was in the interest of the Syrian people as well as for the security of the region. South Korea's impeached president Yoon Suk-yeol has attended the 6th hearing at the Constitutional Court. In the previous hearing, held February 4th, Yoon said that there was no point in debating whether he gave orders to remove lawmakers gathering to vote to lift the martial law when nothing actually happened. The Constitutional Court is reviewing Parliament's impeachment of Yoon on December 14 and will decide whether to remove him from office permanently or reinstate him. If he's removed, a new president election must be held within 60 days. To economy, the Bank of England has lowered interest rates by 1/4 of a percentage point to 4.5%. Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey said the bank would be monitoring the UK economy and global developments very closely and taking a gradual and careful approach to reducing rates further. Thursday's rate cut is only the 3rd since the bank started lowering borrowing costs from a 14-year high in August and leaves British rates among the highest for advanced economies and just above the U.S. Federal Reserve's range of 4.25 to 4.5%. Oil prices have edged up after Saudi Arabia's state oil company, Aramco, raised its March crude prices sharply. The gains barely dented the previous day's slide in benchmark Brent crude. Brent crude futures rose 0.4% to $74.22 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was up 0.5% to $71.38. Gold prices have steadied after a 5-session rally to all-time highs on tensions over trade wars between the world's two largest economies, amid worries about economic growth and uncertainty around the future path of U.S. interest rates. Spot gold was up 0.1% at $2,867.93 per ounce after hitting a record high of $2,882.16 on Wednesday. U.S. gold futures were flat at $2,892.20. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here's what we've been covering. Palestine states its rights are non-negotiable and not for sale. U.S. President Donald Trump states Israel will transfer control of Gaza Strip to the United States once fighting ends. And Lebanese presidency announces a meeting between President Aoun, Speaker Berri, and PM-designate Salem ahead of today's new government announcement. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at QNewsEG to stay informed. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.